Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming along to the University Exchange Programme information session for exchanges to Australia and Canada. My name is Conleth, and I work in the Global Opportunities team. It's great to see so many of you registered for this session, and it's great to have you coming along. We'll go through the details of the programme throughout this session. And there will be a chance to ask questions both in the chat function, and if you do want to ask a question in the chat, just make sure that you don't put any personal details in, because this can obviously be seen by everyone. So in terms of today's session, we'll talk about how exchanges in the past couple of years have been affected by COVID. We'll look at the two host universities. Normally, there is three host universities, two for Canada, but unfortunately, one of the institutions we won't be able to send students to this year, or sorry, in 22-23, and I'll get on to that a little bit later. We'll look at some further information on how to apply for the programme, and we'll also have time for some questions as well. So in terms of myself and the Global Opportunities team, we're based in the Student Guidance Centre, and we try to promote any international experiences, both work, study and volunteering opportunities to students. We're a relatively small team of 6, and you can see more information on our website on the link there, go.qub.ac.uk/go global. We also have drop-in sessions available for students, and these run on a Tuesday and Thursday and are currently virtual. And we don't mind if students are coming to one of those sessions with a blank page, or if you're asking about a specific programme, you can book onto one of those virtual drop-in sessions on My Future, and we'll put the link for that up a little bit later on in the session. So I suppose, why would you consider undertaking the University Exchange Programme and any kind of global programme in general? First and foremost, I suppose it's getting away to a new country and building up your cultural awareness. Both of the countries that we're looking at today, in Canada and Australia, they're predominantly English speaking. Obviously, Canada would have some French quarters, but you're building up the cultural awareness of that country. We deal with a lot of employers within the careers service, and we do get to talk to them from time to time and ask them what are they looking for in students, and they always come back to us and tell us that they want to see students who stand out in the job market. So what better way of being able to stand out by saying, you came to Belfast, we came to Queen's to undertake your degree, but you spent a semester in Australia or a full academic year in Canada. This helps to build up life skills. We would talk to a lot of students who come back from these sort of programs, and you always say that it helps to build up their confidence and helps to build up their resilience as well from doing these programs. So it's a fantastic opportunity. It also shows a degree of flexibility. Again, going back to the employers, you could be going for an interview with an employer who's got hubs all over the world, and to be able to show that you're in Belfast for a while and you're also in Canada or Australia for a while does show a degree of flexibility. And also your experience in Canada or Australia can go towards the Degree Plus award. And for anybody who's unfamiliar with the Degree Plus award, it's an award that Queen's have that accredits any extracurricular activities that you do outside of your degree. And so by going on a study placement to Canada and Australia, you're building up skills there from undertaking that sort of placement. It also, spending time in a Canadian or Australian university also helps you to see a different side of teaching, to experience modules that maybe you aren't able to take at Queen's. So that's another benefit of undertaking this type of exchange programme. So as I mentioned before, we're just going to look back over the last couple of years. I suppose COVID is still very much with us. And we kind of need to address what's happened in the past with these exchanges. And when I talk about these exchanges, I'm talking about the exchanges that we've had to Australia and Canada. So in 2021, we had to cancel the exchanges that were due to go out that academic year, because of safety reasons with COVID. For this academic year, the university has implemented a risk assessment process for all individual placements. And I will get on to the risk assessment process a little bit later on in the presentation. So all the exchanges with the Canadian universities, and that was the 2 Canadian universities this academic year, went ahead. The exchanges with the Australian universities weren't allowed to proceed because of the borders with Australia being closed. So looking forward to 22-23, we'll still have the risk assessment in place for all exchanges. And we will obviously, the university will be monitoring the COVID situation as we get closer or get into semester 2 of this academic year and towards next academic year. And at this point, we're very hopeful that exchanges will be able to proceed. So in terms of the exchange, what we would like to just make you aware of is that the year or semester that you do spend abroad will replace the year or semester that you would have been at Queen's. This means that your degree duration isn't extended by any time, and the time that you spend at your host university just replaces the time that you would have been at Queen's. And also the marks that you achieve at your exchange university will be converted to Queen's grades once you return from your exchange, and therefore will contribute towards your degree classification. The programme itself is open to any full-time Queen's University undergraduate student, and usually you can go in 2nd year or 3rd year or final year, but you must have permission from your academic school. There may be restrictions on certain subject areas, and a couple of examples there, the likes of psychology, performing arts and business. Restrictions like that you may have to study certain modules at Queen's, or you may not be able to go out in a certain semester or a certain academic year. Also, medicine, nursing, biomedical science, social work, pharmacy, or law students cannot generally apply, but we would advise that you check with your school just before you start going through the application process. So who are our exchange partners? Well, normally in previous years, we've had 3 exchange partners, 2 in Canada and 1 in Australia. But as you can see there, the University of Alberta Exchange is not going to be available for next academic year. And I suppose that's due to the University of Alberta not wanting to continue exchanges for a while to allow for a correction of the balance. So we would have had more students going out to Canada than we would have had coming in the last few years. So to correct that balance, they have said for next academic year, they may be sending students, but they won't be allowing any students to go to their institution. So the other 2 institutions then obviously are the University of Newcastle in Australia, and we would have 2 FTE places available. So that means that we could potentially send 2 students for 2 full academic years, or an academic year each. And also Queen's University, Kingston in Canada. And for that institution, we've got 5 places. So potentially we could send for 5 students for an academic year each, or potentially 10 students for a semester each, just depending on the duration of how the successful candidates want to go. So we've got those places available. So what I'm going to do is look at the 2 institutions. And we do have a video in the middle of the presentation, so we will play that. Hopefully it'll work for everybody. But we'll look at the University of Newcastle in New South Wales in Australia. It's situated on the eastern coast of Australia, about 2 hours drive north of Sydney. The Newcastle itself has a population of about just over 500,000 people, 550,000. And has the usual city facilities, restaurants, cafes, parks, gardens, theatres, art galleries, nightclubs. And as a few kilometres south is Australia's largest seaboard lake, Lake Macquarie, which is it's the scene of many international sailing events. So if anybody's into sailing or water sports, I think it's definitely one to consider. The university itself was established in 1965, so it's a relatively new university, but it has more than 30,000 students across a wide range of disciplines. And about approximately 6,000 of these are from overseas. So I want to play a video, like a promotional video from the University of Newcastle, that'll give you a flavour of the university.
taking all the sunshine, bottle up the rain. Go where the wind blows, let it show the way. Open all the windows, let in all the light. You can pull the stars down, paint the perfect sky. So go and write your song. The world will sing along. Jump in, and we don't know where we'll end up, so you might as well begin. Memories you're making, you frame inside your heart, the middle of a nowhere, so somewhere you can start. So go and write your song. The world will sing along.
So I think you can agree that that's obviously it's a promotional video, but it looks absolutely fantastic, and it looks definitely worth a visit. In terms of the University of Newcastle, it's ranked in the top 250 universities globally by Times Higher, and is ranked in the top 200 most international universities. The main Callaghan campus, which is probably most of the video there is based on the Callaghan campus. It's one of the best campuses in Australia, and is a beautiful mix of award-winning architecturally designed buildings, and it's set in a beautiful natural setting. And it is located about 12 kilometres northwest of Newcastle city centre. The Newcastle campus, the other campus, Newcastle City campus, is based in the central business district and is very much at the centre of the city's burgeoning arts scene. As you will see from the video, Newcastle it's a thriving harbour city with spectacular beaches and coastline, and a diverse art scene. Now we should note that in terms of the semesters for the University of Newcastle, basically our semester one is their semester two. So for anybody going out for the full year, you'd be kind of doing semester two first, and then semester one, semester two being July to November, and then their semester one being February to June. It would work the same principle. It's just you're kind of going out in their semester two and then changing over to semester one for the second semester if you're going for a full academic year. That is. It's also worth noting that anybody potentially going out in their final year in 22-23, their semester runs until June, and we may not get your transcript back from the University of Newcastle in time for registration for graduation. So you may have to defer your graduation until winter. So for that reason, you may want to consider going for the first semester, our first semester. But otherwise, if you go for second semester or you go for the full academic year and you're in your final year, it may be a case that you might have to graduate from Queen's in the winter rather than the summer. So in terms of Queen's University Kingston, it's a bit older. Well, it's a lot older than Newcastle. It was established in 1841 by Royal Charter of Queen Victoria, and that's actually 40 years before Queen's received its charter from Queen Victoria. It's located in the city of Kingston, Ontario, and that's halfway between Montreal and Toronto, which is obviously two of Canada's largest cities. And it's set on the shores of Lake Ontario. The university's 100-acre campus, very similar to Newcastle, is absolutely beautiful, and it's lovely to be set on such a natural setting. So again, I'm going to play a promotional video from them, and hopefully that'll give you a wee kind of flavour of Kingston. So as you can see, again, another very inspirational video, and again, a beautiful campus. A little bit about Kingston. It's a bustling city of about 125,000 people, and rich in heritage, culture and history. And as I mentioned before, it's set on the shores of Lake Ontario. It's been named in the top 5 university towns in the world by BBC. And obviously, it's, as I mentioned at the outset, it's just a few hours travel from Toronto, Montreal, and Ottawa as well. There's around about 25,000 students at Queen's University Kingston, and approximately 1,300 of these are international students from approximately 123 countries. So, you know, the support for exchange and international students coming in there is exceptional because they do have a high volume of students. And just to make you aware that the exchange operates in the arts and sciences only, but you can see more guidance notes on both the university, Queen's University Kingston, and the University of Newcastle on my future on the application form, which I'll get on to a little bit later. So just to kind of reiterate a couple of things, the semester dates, just because they're a bit different with the University of Newcastle. So our semester 1 is their semester 2, and that runs from July to November. And then their semester 1 then would run from late February to late June. And again, anybody thinking of going out in the final year, this may have an impact on graduation. Queen's University Kingston is more in line with our own semester dates. Their semester 1 is September to December, and then their semester 2 is January to April. So after the question of where can I go, the next big question is how much is this going to cost and what funding is available. You may be eligible for the Turing grant. Now we have to wait until this next summer to find out how much Turing funding we have available, but hopefully we will have funding available for students going out to these institutions. Now this wouldn't be funding to cover everything. This would just be a helping hand when you're out there, so I wouldn't be relying solely on this funding. It would just seem to be a helping hand when you're potentially out there. In terms of tuition fees, any students, any NI, GB or EU students who would spend the full year in Kingston or Newcastle will be eligible for a tuition fee waiver for the 22-23 year. Again, that has to be confirmed, and we won't know that until summer 2022. But we're very hopeful that tuition fee waiver for those going out to either institution for the full academic year will be in place. Anybody who goes out for just one semester would be required to pay the normal tuition fees to Queen's for the academic year. You wouldn't pay any tuition fees to either Newcastle or Kingston. Any international students either spending the full year or one semester would be required to pay the full tuition fees to Queen's for the 22-23 year. So you would just pay your normal fees to Queen's if you go for a semester or a full academic year, and that's for international students. You're still eligible to claim any student loans or maintenance grants as you would have if you were at Queen's. So therefore, you are required to cover the cost of the likes of accommodation and visas, health insurance, and the estimated costs for these are on the guidance notes, as I mentioned, it's on the application on My Future. So you can see some estimated costs. And also on the university's websites, they have got some good information on estimated costs. Another source of information is the Global Graduates website. They have got some really good info on kind of managing your money when you would be away. So in terms of the funding, the Turing grant, and also the tuition fee waiver, we will have to wait until next summer to know whether or not that will be in place. We're hopeful that it will be, but we will have to wait until then to find out if it's definitely in place. So I mentioned at the outset about a risk assessment that's been put in place by the university. So all students who are undertaking a period of international work or study have to undertake this risk assessment. And we would always ask that you do not travel before you've received approval from the university. What we will do is, when we go through the application process, and there will be an interview side to that, any successful applicants, we will we will then help you progress onto the risk assessment, or help you complete the risk assessment, and then once the approval has come through, then you'll be able to look at accommodation and book flights and visas and stuff like that. Obviously, we would advise any students not to make any financial commitments before you would receive any approval from the university. The actual risk assessment process, it's quite a long questionnaire, I suppose. But what we want to do is make sure that you're aware of the safety implications and visa implications, and even stuff like where the nearest embassy, consulate are. It's all to ensure your health and safety when you're going out on an international placement. And this risk assessment doesn't just apply for the university exchange program. It applies to anybody going out on any international placement. Even if you're going to 2 different countries in the same year, which can apply to some students who are undertaking an Erasmus placement, the risk assessment is in place, and you have to get approval from the university before you actually travel. Once you submit the risk assessment, approval will be sought from your school, and then once that's approved, you receive an email to say that yes, you're approved to travel by the university. But like I said, for any successful applicants on this programme, we will get in touch with you about the risk assessment process after we're kind of letting you know that you are successful. So in terms of the application process for this, what we would suggest is read the guidance notes that are currently on My Future, and I'm going to post the actual application now, so you should get a kind of a wee link on your page that kind of gives you the link to the application and then the guidance notes for the 2 universities and more details obviously about the programme. We would ask that you research the universities, and when you're looking at the universities, and there is only 2 alternatives here, but look at the accommodation the university has, look at the subjects that you can study there, and also anybody who maybe is registered with disability services, look at the support services that are available at these universities, because we want to make sure that the support that you receive at Queen's is mirrored in the support that you receive at your host institution. So by doing your research about where you want to go, and also checking the modules that you can study there, we would suggest doing this now. The application deadline is until the 4th of February, so you've loads of time to do your research on where you would want to go. So the applications are now up and live on My Future. You will, as part of that, have to complete the modules that you want to study at your host institution, and we would advise that you do that in consultation with either your advisor of studies or the international advisor in your school, or maybe even the director of education in your school. It's worth checking with them first to see whether they think that this is something that your school will allow you to do, and whether they think it's beneficial for you to do this. Always remember that the time you spend out in Australia or Canada, and the modules that you do out there and the marks that you get out there will be converted back when you come back to Queen's. So just bear that in mind when you're considering this opportunity. We would then ask that you discuss and identify the modules that you would be taking in either Newcastle or Kingston, and draw up a list of provisional modules. And that is actually part of the application process. You'll see when you look at the application, we ask you to identify the modules that you would study in your host university. Only your first choice host university, so you don't need to do it for both, just your first choice. And discuss these with your advisor of studies or a point of contact in your school. You'll also need to nominate a referee or academic member of staff who can comment on your academic ability in the application also. So as I mentioned, the application is available now on My Future. The closing date is the 4th of February 22 at 2 p.m. and we won't be accepting any applications after that. Our expected interviews will take place on the 18th of February, and then shortly after that, we'll be able to let you know if you've been successful or not. And then after that, we'll be in contact about the risk assessment, and also then we would nominate you to the host universities. So in terms of just the application form, the first section is general enough, it's just your personal details. The second section of the form is your academic career and qualifications. So we want to see students who are of an adequate academic level. This is so we can make sure that you'll be able to keep up with the rigors of studying a second level course in a different environment. If you're struggling with your studies at the minute at Queen's, you would have to strongly consider whether this is the right opportunity for you, because you're not getting used to a new style of teaching. You're having to get used to a new country, new city, new accommodation, new friends, new campus, and you just have to consider whether you think this is the best thing for you. The third section is you detail any previous work or study experience abroad. And we want you to include anything that might be relevant, such as volunteering abroad or maybe working in a summer camp. But don't worry if you don't have anything. The fourth section is evidence of any extracurricular activities, and this is a way for us to determine how you will engage in university life in a different country, and that is so important in the first few weeks, how you get involved and how you get integrated into life in a new university. And you can detail if you currently participate in any clubs or societies, and any that you may have researched at the host university which may complement or broaden your interests. And then the last section is your personal statement, and what we want to see what you hope to get out of it. How does it fit in with your studies and your career plan? We would suggest that you make sure you've researched the university and what it offers in terms of modules and how that can again complement your strengths as well. So the first stage of the application process will be an application form, with the second stage being interviews. So in terms of application, it's one per student, and then you would rank in order your preferred university choice. Obviously, there's only 2 universities there, so you would be first and second. You can just indicate one if you wish. It's entirely up to yourself. Then there is a course selection form, which as I advised, you would draw up this in consultation with either your advisor of studies, the international advisor in your school, or the director of education in your school. And that is a provisional list of courses and modules that you would take and potentially at your host university. Now, bear in mind that once you get there, those modules may change, but this is kind of a provisional list of what you hope to study when you're there. And then you would nominate a member of Queen's staff who could comment on your academic performance and abilities. So, in terms of that course selection and where it is, if you go on to the course handbook with the University of Newcastle first, if you go on to their website, www.newcastle.edu.au, and then /course will bring you to the course handbook. This exchange operates in most subject areas. You should select a total of 60 units for the academic year, or 30 per semester. Most courses are worth 10 units. So when you're on the course handbook, you'll be able to filter by your course or subject and the modules that you're interested in. And you should be able to select the modules and see more information on them. The example I've given here is physical chemistry. So you'll be able to see more about the module and the content and the kind of the learning outcomes and the level of it as well. You can see there for physical chemistry, that's a level 2 module, and obviously the units there as well. So what we want you to do is to use that course handbook and that information to discuss your modules with your advisor of studies, and to kind of in consultation with them to select the modules that you potentially would study at the University of Newcastle in this case. So in terms of Queen's University Kingston, it's just a little bit different, but pretty much the same. If you go onto their university homepage, it will bring you to their academic e-calendar, and then I've highlighted where you can find the courses of instruction, which will detail kind of all the courses that you can do. You'll then be able to select the course or modules that you're interested in. And we would advise selecting modules that are at a level 200 or 300 in this case. So you can see there, the one I've selected there is an English module 211, so it's a second level module. You should select courses totaling 24 credit points for the academic year, or 12 per term. Full year courses are normally worth 6 points. You can see this one is a full year course. Single term courses are normally worth 3 credit points. So it would be 12 per term or 24 for the full academic year. Again, like I mentioned with Newcastle, it's worth taking a note of the subject notes and the description when you talk to your advisor of studies or the point of contact in your school about which modules you should be selecting. So that is actually all I'm going to talk about the university exchange. Like I said, it is up on My Future at the minute, and the link has been posted for you, so you can go on there and look at the application form and look at the guidance notes on the two universities. And the application deadline, as I mentioned, is the 4th of February 2022. I see there's a few questions in the chat, but I think some of them have already been answered. So bear with me while I just look through. Is this program eligible to students? Oh, that's already been answered by my colleague Donna. As a social science, is criminology available for the exchange? You'll probably have to check just on the university website, Ruby. I have a feeling it is, but if you check on the guidance notes on My Future, it should be listed there as well. Who can I contact to see if I'm able to do this while studying law or politics? Yeah, your advisor studies is definitely the best person to contact. Okay, and if you would be going in the first semester for us, but in their second semester, would you not be close to the application from February? Samantha, I think you might be. Yeah, so my colleague Donna has already answered that one. That the next round of applications, which we're talking about now, is for either a July 22 or a February 23 start. Karis, will we be staying at university accommodation? That will be up to yourself to organise. You could potentially stay at university accommodation, but you would have to kind of check to see if there's availability there. And you would organise the accommodation yourself. In the past, some students have stayed at university accommodation, some have stayed in private accommodation. Again, if you are successful and you get through the application interview stage, it would be then at that point that you're eligible to start looking for accommodation. Are computer science students eligible? Again, Pratham, I would advise looking at the guidance notes on My Future. And I believe we've had computer science students in the past applying. So yeah, on the guidance notes, it'll tell you the eligible courses. Are RGR social work students able to apply? I think, Josephine, that might be PGR. I could be wrong on this, but I think you might mean PGR. Maybe not. If it is, this exchange is only open to undergrad students. So PGR students or PGT students won't be able to apply. Christian has asked, is this recorded? Yes, it is. The link after this session is ended, the same link will apply. So if you go on to the link, it'll bring you to a recording of the session. And we'll also have the session up on our past event pages on the careers website. Josephine, 2 years accelerated. To be honest with you, Josephine, I'm not 100% sure on that one. Undergraduate fast track. I would probably suggest, Josephine, if you email goglobal@qub.ac.uk, we can get a few more details off you, and then we can find out that for definite. What David has asked, what impact is there for second-year students who study in Australia during our first semester, which is their second semester when we return? And do you have to wait a year then to sit the first semester of our course in Belfast? No, if you're going out there for their first semester, you would study our first semester at Queen's, and then you will go out, because remember their first semester starts in February, so you go out and do their first semester then. So you take our first semester at Queen's, which is the normal first semester dates, and then you go out to Newcastle and study their first semester, which should be February then till it's April time. And then after that, your marks will be converted back, and then you would, if it's your final year, you would graduate probably in the winter because the marks won't be back for the summer graduations. But if you're not final year, then you would just come back after that semester and go into your next academic year. Did it say that Canadian Uni only offers performing arts? A lot of the performing arts students would go to the Canadian University. There are some with the Newcastle University, but again, what I would suggest, Joshua, is to go on to the go on to the guidance notes on My Future, and you'll find out details there. But then you can email goglobal@qub.ac.uk, and if you have any more questions on that. Folks, I think I've answered all the questions there. I hope so. If I haven't, as I said, you can email goglobal@qub.ac.uk. Actually, our email address is in another couple of slides. I just want to highlight a couple of other things, a couple of useful information sessions that are coming up. The Ryan Immigrant Centre, and this is for students who are thinking about going out to the US for a year. There's an information session on that on the 9th of December. So definitely, if you're interested in going to the US for a year for work placement, definitely come along to that session. Camp counsellors will be doing a session on the 25th of January. So definitely you can sign up to that one. And then we'll be doing a focus on summer session in March time. If you're just wanting to find out more things to do during your summer, then definitely get on and come along to that session. Always keep an eye on My Future and also on the careers events pages for all of our events, and you'll be able to see all the events that are coming up. As I mentioned at the outset, there is, and my colleague has just popped up the upcoming information sessions, a link in the chat there, so you can sign up for any of those sessions that I mentioned there at that link. I mentioned at the outset that we have virtual drop-in sessions every Tuesday and Thursday from 12 to 1. They are 15-minute appointments, and you can book those through My Future. They're the virtual appointments through Teams, and again, the link has just been popped up in the chat there, so anybody who wants to book onto a virtual appointment can do so. And then a few just websites that give you some more information. Our own careers, Global Opportunities website, both the qub.ac.uk/exchange programs and also the go.qub.ac.uk/go global are very useful websites for all information on not just this program, but a range of different work and study opportunities abroad. Global graduates, we would always advise taking a look at. There's a lot of useful blogs and information there from students who have been out before on different types of global programs. So definitely have a look there. We can potentially put you in touch with some past exchange students, but we would usually only do that after your interview, those successful candidates at interview. If you have any other questions, by all means, email goglobal@qub.ac.uk, and we will try and come back to you as soon as possible. But that's all the information I'm going to provide today. There will be another information session on this program, very similar to this one, and that will be at the start of next year. So it'll probably be around about January time. And again, it'll be similar to this session. But if you're interested in this program, I would advise at this point, go on to My Future, look at the application, look at the details, look at the guidance notes on the two universities, and then make sure that you complete your application and upload it to My Future by the deadline. Any applications after that will not be considered. So yeah. So thank you very much for coming along, folks. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and as I mentioned, this session will be recorded and will be up on our events page, and also available at this link after the session is over. So thank you very much.